Hello, welcome to another SPSS demonstration exercise. Chapter 2, Producing Frequency Distributions. In SPSS, you can review the frequency distribution for a single variable or for several variables at once. The frequency procedure is found in the Descriptive Statistics menu under Analyze. Let's get started by bringing in SPSS so we can actually start to use the frequencies command in SPSS. So I'm going to just minimize this. I'm going to go to my programs file, click on SPSS. It takes a while to upload. I'm going to close out of this dialog box, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring in one of my databases from SOS 232. For this demonstration exercise, we're going to use the Monitoring the Futures data, okay, the 2008. Okay, that just asks adolescents a series of questions with regard to maybe high-risk behaviors. So we want to go to File, Open, Data, and I'm going to go to my SOS 232 folder where my databases are. I'm going to click that on. I'm going to go to Datasets McSpirit, and yours will be Datasets, your last name. And click on, for this demonstration exercise, it requires that we bring in the MTF 2008 data. So I'll click that on. And what we have here, as we know from our first demonstration exercise, is a database. And if we scroll through the top, we can see that this survey question has to do with something related to police and their job performance. The first question has to do with their adolescents' general level of happiness. But for this question, or for this exercise, we're supposed to look at the question, get Coke. And if we scroll on over here, it is a question with regard asking teenagers to respond, how easy is it to get cocaine? And then the question, how was it measured in terms of sets of responses? We can go check that question a little bit more in depth by going to our Utilities Variables command, something we learned in our last demonstration exercise. Go to Utilities, Variables, and we can see that the question on get Coke, we'll go down here, we'll find it, and the question was measured how easy to get cocaine. Probably the first category, probably impossible, very difficult, fairly difficult, fairly easy, and very easy. Okay, those were the categories to which a young adolescent could respond. And let's go ahead and see just how teenagers in 2008 were thinking about cocaine and whether or not it was easy for them or not to purchase. And that will require that we simply ask SPSS to give us a frequency distribution on how teenagers responded to that particular question. So we want to close out of that, and we want to go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics. All this is summarized in your textbook as well, okay, in terms of the section SPSS Demonstrations. So you want to go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. And what we have here are all the possible variables where we could actually ask SPSS to give us frequency tables on. And we'll go ahead and find that question, how easy to get cocaine? And here, the question, we'll see if you highlight it, how easy to get cocaine, get Coke? And that's the question we'll use. Over here, we don't have to do anything, ask for any other statistics. we don't have to do that for this exercise. So all we need to do now is just press OK. And what we have is our first set of SPSS output. This first table is your case processing summary. It just told us that we have, right, the responses from 1,449 individuals or young people. And then in terms of how young people responded, in terms of the raw frequency, right, and that's represented symbolically as F. We had 216 who said it's probably impossible, 266 who said very difficult, 375 who said fairly easy, fairly difficult, 360 who said fairly easy, and 232 who said very easy. In terms of the percent, my suggestion is to ignore the middle percent, because that takes into account the missing cases, and we don't want to include those in terms of our percentage report. Always go to the valid percent. And what we see here is, okay, of the 1,449 persons who responded, total number of persons, okay, 216 said it was probably impossible to get cocaine, and that essentially is 15% or 14.9% of young people. Make sure to simply, when you're summarizing your reports in your write-up, to simply round your percentages to whole numbers. This is a point that is not brought up in the text, but it is just standard practice, is just to report your percentages to a whole number. And so, of the 1,449 persons who said it was very difficult to respond, 266 said it was very difficult to obtain cocaine. That means essentially 18% of cases, 18% of young people. In terms of the cumulative percentage column, what we have here is simply the sum total of percentages, okay, of reports as we walk on down the frequency table. Right? 15% of individuals said it was probably impossible to obtain cocaine. 15 plus 18.4% yields 33%. And essentially what we have here is, what that means is 33% of individuals, young people, said that it was either very difficult or probably impossible, right, to obtain cocaine. If we add the next 26%, that means 59% of young people said that it was difficult or nearly impossible, right, to obtain cocaine. Right? It's another way to summarize what's going on in your data, and it's a much easier way to maybe get a point across. Okay, 60% of young people found it either fairly difficult, very difficult, or probably impossible to gain access to cocaine. Okay? Interestingly, right, the other 40%, right, the remaining 100 of the remaining 100%, 60 minus 100, the remaining 40% of young people said that if they had to, right, they could get access to cocaine. Okay? Which represents maybe a good point for policy discussion on drug use and abuse among young people that I invite you to talk about when you summarize these findings. Okay? That marks the end of our SPSS demonstration exercise.